Morning, ladies and gents. How are we all doing this morning? Very good, thank you. Good, perfect. So just to introduce, we're going to run through today quick introductions. We'll go through who is ZPG and our journey so far. And then we'll finish off by talking about safeguarding and ensuring compliance whilst engaging and empowering our colleagues. Hopefully I won't all send you off to sleep by going through that. And then towards the end, we'll have a quick Q&A if you guys have got any questions. So to start off with, my name's Claire Chester. I'm the HR and Systems Advisor for ZPG. I have been with the business now for 4.5 years. Standing to my right, I have Lorraine Metcalf. She's our Chief Talent Officer, and she has been with the business for 3.5 years. I'll now pass over to Lorraine, who's going to talk through our journey and where we're at currently.
Thanks, Claire. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us. So, has anybody heard of ZPG? Not really. Anybody heard of Zoopla? There you go. So that's where we started our heritage, was Zoopla. And Zoopla, for those that sort of remember, it was sometimes branded as the nosy neighbour. We did an awful lot for people around helping our consumers understand what properties were worth, whether it was their own or their neighbours or their friends. And that was our heritage. So it was all about finding a property. We were established in 2007, and since then we have grown dramatically. Both, I think we've lost volume, both organically and through acquisition. So to give you an idea, I joined in 2015, and at that time there were 200 staff. We've now got 900 staff in the business. So you can imagine from an HR perspective, from a systems perspective, that's a massive challenge. I'd gone through fast growth companies before coming to Zoopla, and so the key thing for me was about getting some controls in place, actually owning our data. When I joined, finance owned the data, and that was never a great position to be in. So within that first year, we went out to market, as all of you I'm sure are doing. We looked at the plethora of different HR systems out there. We worked out what was key for us. How did we safeguard for a future that in those days we didn't actually know the scope of the scale and growth that we would have, but we wanted to bring in a system that would partner with us and take us through that growth. And hence why we have partnered with Ciphr, and throughout our whole journey we spend a lot of time working with Ciphr and saying to them, this is what the future looks like, sometimes only about 6 months out, but this is what we're looking to do. Can you help us on that growth? So it gives you an idea of why we're stood up here now and some of the changes that we've had to make along the way, because what worked when we were 200 no longer works when we're 900. We also have a diverse workforce, so we've got very many disciplines within our business, and as we acquire new companies, we bring in more and more and more different disciplines. Also, when I first joined, we had one site in London. It was really easy to get your arms around people. The only thing that we had was we had field-based staff who lived at home, they worked from their home, and they went out and they saw estate agents. That's completely changed now. We've got 9 sites now, one of which is actually in Australia. And the system has allowed us to make that transition as well. So, I unfortunately have been in HR for many, many years, and I remember the days when, a system was developed in sterling and you could only put sterling in, or in the US it was developed and the date, you couldn't change the date range. What Ciphr has created for us is great flexibility, the ability for us to own our data and own a lot around the system and change things on the system and really adapt as our business has diversified and grown as well. Retention is incredibly important to us, and with a very wide digital workforce, whether that is in digital skills or in development staff, it's really important to us, and we've had great retention even when we've gone through some of the changes that we've gone through. And we've also now got multiple brands and employing entities, and again the system has allowed us to scale to that degree as well and segment ourselves. So if you look at who are Zoopla, you will recognise a large number of these brands, including Uswitch. So the comparison site, we've acquired Uswitch. They pretty much doubled our size of business. We've got TechnicWeb, we've got Property Software Group, we've got Expert Agent. They all handle the software for our customers. And we've also got Home Track, and that's a big data piece of our business. So when I started, I said to you that Zoopla was really all about helping you find a property. We also now, for you, the consumer, help you find, move and manage your property. Because actually finding a property is only a small part of the journey that you want to go on. So when we look at moving, we look at all of the other services, the ancillary services that you might want, and provide that for you. And when you're managing, that's really where USwitch come in, helping you make the most of your money by giving you the best possible offers. We're a B2B business as well, so we have actually our consumers, you, don't pay for our service. It's actually our partners that pay for our service, whether that's on Zoopla side or PSG or Home Track, or whether that's on the USwitch side. And there, our commitment to our partners is to help them market, manage and maximise their return. So how do they get the most out of the consumers that we give them? Really, bottom line, we're a lead generation business, and it's all digital. So we've kept adding to our offering, and we've kept growing. We also have moved to an amazing London office. So we've brought together all the London sites. We still have 9 offices though, including one in Australia through an acquisition. And we've got a great office space now that we're really proud of. In fact, so much so that we were voted by Glassdoor as one of the coolest places to work. And one of our members of staff actually called out our barista, Bruno the barista. In fact, yesterday somebody wants a Bruno Appreciation Day because we've got such a great environment and he does such a great job for us. But it's a key part of who we are and our employer proposition as well. We very much look from a people perspective about a journey. So we recognise that, everybody is individual, even the 800, and we need to make it feel like an individual. We've very much come from an entrepreneurial background. We've very much grown up. Our CEO is passionate about us still feeling like 100 people company, not a 1,000 people company. So although we have a model that we look at as a people journey, we actually recognise that, there may be some commonality, but everybody needs to go through that journey as an individual. And so we look at each journey point. We want our system to provide not just standardised interactions with our staff, but make them feel very personalised as well. And we have very strong values. And over the years that I've been with ZPG, we've honed those values to make sure that we've incorporated the acquisitions that we've made. They are passionate, agile, collaborative and entrepreneurial, and it's not by mistake that they spell pace. We're an incredibly fast-paced company, and I remember when we were looking at bringing in Ciphr, and we were working with our partner, our integration partner, and they were saying, you'll never get the implementation in under 3 months. And we had a deadline that we needed to hit, and we hit it. Because we worked in partnership and we were very clear all the time what we were looking to achieve. We now have the luxury, whenever we bring a business in, to implement the integration really smoothly and really quickly. It's never the people side of things that holds an acquisition up. So we, in the early days, I was saying to Claire, my vision is that we will never have a piece of paper. And if you come and look at my desk, you'll find that unbelievable. Claire said, we will always have paper in HR. And I said, but the vision has got to be we go paperless. We now e-sign all of our contracts of employment. So making an acquisition where we transfer people onto our benefits and onto our contracts has now become really simple and straightforward. In fact, the acquisition we made just before Christmas, I went to visit them on the 21st of December. We gave a presentation about all the benefits. We said, but you have to sign up to a contract. And whatever you do not just auto-sign it, because there will be changes to your current contract. And you don't have to sign it, but if you want the benefits, it's because you're on our contract. We said to them, we're just coming into Christmas, so we don't want to put you under pressure, but we wanted to get them done early in January because there was a member of staff who was going to be hugely advantaged by being on our benefits. We had everybody, including one person who had never, in all the years that he'd worked for them, signed their contract. We had everybody signed up on their contract by the 5th of January. And it was because we used the system to communicate with them. We used e-sign through the system and mail merged. And they were able to regularly go on and check their benefits and see how all of the things that we were offering them would benefit them. So it was really, really seamless. And I now think I've got another acquisition. We've got 2 that we've got to integrate for the 1st of July. And we have the luxury of being able to stand here in front of you now because we are so confident that it will be a seamless process. Not least of all because we rely heavily on the system to make the process really straightforward and simple. This is you.
Thank you. So now we move on to safeguarding and ensuring compliance whilst we're engaging our employees as well. The first point that we've got up is about our colleagues expecting our employees to protect their information. Our employees give us all of their information, whether that's to do with their life history, through their CVs, referencing or background checking, even through to their personal data, such as bank details and personal addresses. When we actually looked at launching the system, one of our employees said to us, "I don't store my bank details anywhere. What assurances can you give me that my bank details aren't going to go across the internet?" Thankfully, with the help of Ciphr, they enabled us to be able to take this information through the self-serve portal and really give them assurances that everything was secure. Second point that we've got is about collecting data at the right time. One thing that we've found is that by using our self-serve portal and our onboarding system, we've been able to collect information from our employees from the get-go, really engaging them and giving them that starting point that they're not brand new when they first join the business. We also have our HR inductions as well, which we find are valuable and informative and allow them to really gain information to be able to store all of their information and securely as well. Our vision was to always make our colleagues and managers responsible for their own data and enable HR to scale from an admin function to a value-add function. We also had a look at our process re-engineering as well. As we all know, HR are essentially the gatekeepers of data. And as such, we wanted to make sure that all of our processes were still working when we implemented the system. As a team, we went through our processes to ensure that they were still working, and if they weren't, what we could do to ensure that they were adaptable to this system. We wanted to try and autonomise as much as possible and make sure that our colleagues weren't impacted by changing our processes. By engaging our employees as well, when we actually first launched our system, we had 92 people, which at the time was a lot of staff, log in and change all of their data, including our CEO as well, which for us just showed that we'd really gone through the right processes when it came to launching. We also need to make sure that we look at data input, storage and disposal. When considering the life cycle of employees' records, employers should focus in broad terms on data input, storage and disposal. Although there are no easy answers about the best way to collect, manage and dispose of such sensitive information, employers can and should take numerous steps to ensure the security of their employee data. Safeguarding as well, people shouldn't overlook electronic access. Restricting access to sensitive data may require safeguarding the application, databases and servers that house and process HR data. This could be done by using firewalls, installing intrusion detecting systems and limiting those who have authority to assign passwords. Because many HR systems are web-based, businesses must take steps to make sure that the data in these systems can't be tapped into. Employers should also take steps to limit non-HR staff access. As an example, you don't want your employees to be able to access information about their other colleagues, but yet you may want some of their managers to be able to access their personal information, such as contact numbers in the event of an emergency. I'll just bring these all up at one point. Everyone is responsible for compliance, and as gatekeepers, HR know what sensitive data we have. We should all develop good computing practices, follow HR information security guidelines, and report potential breaches of HR information to our security teams. By following these steps, you can see on the screen, this can help ensure that we as the gatekeepers of data are fully compliant. As an example, HR data should be regularly audited. Back in 2015, 37 UK firms were fined by the HMRC for failing to pay employees the basic minimum wage. One of them was a big retailer, and due to errors that they had in their timesheets by them not auditing them, set them back nearly £11 million in costs. By using Ciphr, we were able to produce regular reports to check through our data to ensure that we didn't have anyone under the minimum wage, which then meant that we weren't going to incur any of those costs ourselves. Automation to minimise manual data entry as well. In 2010, the flash crash of Wall Street wiped out $1.1 trillion of their investment, of investors' money. And this was all down to a mistyped letter. Someone should have entered a B rather than an M. Now, fortunately, we don't have to deal with such huge costs, but it just goes to show how important it is to be able to automate where you can. Fortunately, through Ciphr, we've been able to create pick lists, create documents within the system, and this has allowed for less errors when it comes to processing of information, such as contracts and personal data for payroll. The reliability and scalability needed for enterprise-class solutions as well. As Lorraine has discussed, we are a rapid-paced, rapid-growingly company, and with that, we need to make sure that we had a system that enabled us to be able to scale as well. Ensuring that you carry out extensive tendering processes, receiving references from companies as well that have already partnered with the business, should then give you insight as to how reliable and scalable they are as well. One of the other things that we've done as HR, we all need to be able to react to legislative changes that are happening within HR. Have any of you been impacted by the gender pay report yet? Yeah, I'm sure, as we all know, it's quite a painful process to get all of that data collated. Thankfully, with the help of Ciphr, we were able to gain access to a report that they had created, and with just the click of a button, I was able to produce information for our board and for our exec members as well. As Lorraine mentioned, we believe that we have a great partnership with Ciphr, which has developed through mutual respect and Ciphr's commitment to really help us to help understand our business and our HR priorities.